Oh please, Linda probably brought her little savings account statement to compare with real money. Laughter erupted around the polished conference table. The banker at the end cleared his throat, holding a sealed envelope. What I'm about to read changes everything in this room. My name is Linda and I'm 34 years old. I work as a data analyst for a mid-sized company. It's nothing glamorous, just a steady paycheck and predictable hours. I've been married to Daniel for 8 years now. He's the youngest of 3 siblings in the wealthy Whitmore family, and from the day we got engaged, I've been treated like the poor girl who married up. I wasn't born into money. I grew up watching my single mom clip coupons and stretch every dollar until it screamed. But I learned something from her that the Whitmores never understood. How to be patient, how to be quiet, and how to build something when nobody's watching. Daniel loves me, I think he really does, but he's too passive to stand up to his dominating mother and his older siblings. They walk all over him and by extension they walk all over me. I've spent years swallowing insults at family dinners, being excluded from trips, and listening to jokes about my background. Through it all I kept my head down and my mouth shut. But quiet doesn't mean weak. And they were about to learn that the hard way. If you've ever been looked down on because you didn't come from money, hit that subscribe button right now. I want to hear your story in the comments. How did you handle it? Drop a like and let's get into what happened next. Let's go. 3 weeks ago, Grandpa Theodore Whitmore passed away. He was the only member of that family who ever treated me like I mattered. While everyone else saw me as Daniel's unfortunate choice, Theodore saw me as a person. The family gathered at the attorney's office for the reading of his will. They were expecting a windfall. Vacation homes in the Hamptons. Stock portfolios worth millions. The sprawling family estate in Connecticut. I came to pay my respects. I expected nothing and wanted nothing. Before the reading even started, my mother-in-law Victoria made her opinion clear. I hope you didn't take time off your little desk job for this, Linda. This is family business. Preston, Daniel's older brother, laughed from across the table. Maybe Grandpa left her a coupon book. Meredith, Daniel's sister, chimed in without looking up from her phone. Or a subscription to a budgeting app. Daniel shifted uncomfortably in his seat but said nothing. He never did. The family lawyer, a stern man in his 60s, began reading the standard bequests. The house went to Victoria. The stocks were split among the 3 siblings. Victoria beamed like she'd won the lottery. Preston smirked and leaned back in his chair. Meredith nodded with satisfaction. Then the lawyer paused. He gestured to a man sitting at the end of the table, someone I hadn't recognized when I walked in. A private banker from an offshore wealth management firm. Victoria frowned. Who is this? This is a private family matter. The banker stood calmly, holding a sealed envelope. I'm here on behalf of Theodore Whitmore's private trust. There's a secondary will. Shock rippled through the room like a cold wind. The banker looked directly at me. Mrs. Linda Whitmore, would you please come forward? Victoria's face drained of all color. Preston sputtered. This has to be a mistake. The banker's voice remained calm and professional. There's no mistake. Shall I proceed? 2 years ago I lost my mother. It was the hardest moment of my life. I asked Victoria for help with funeral planning, maybe just some emotional support. She refused to attend and told me it wasn't a real family event. Preston joked at a family dinner that at least the catering bill would be cheap. I grieved alone while Daniel went to work and pretended everything was fine. He didn't stand up for me then either. 6 months ago, the Whitmore family planned a trip to Italy. It was supposed to be a celebration of the family legacy. I was told explicitly not to come. Victoria said it sweetly like she was doing me a favor. It's a bloodline trip, Linda. You understand. Daniel went without me. He promised he'd make it up to me when he got back. He never did. I spent that week alone in our apartment, but I also spent it making a decision about my future. 1 month ago, at Grandpa Theodore's 85th birthday party, I gave him a handmade photo album. It was filled with pictures from our Sunday visits, little notes he'd written me, and memories we'd shared. Meredith laughed openly when she saw it. A scrapbook? We got him a Rolex. Victoria added with a condescending smile. It's sweet that you try, Linda. Really. It's quaint. But Grandpa Theodore hugged me tightly. He whispered something in my ear that I never shared with anyone. That night, he called his private banker and asked him to visit alone. Through all of this, I never yelled. I never fought back openly. I kept a journal. I saved money. I built something quietly. My mother used to say the loudest people in the room are usually the most scared. I began to realize I didn't need their approval. I needed my own freedom. What the Whitmores didn't know was that Grandpa Theodore and I had a real relationship. For 5 years, I visited him every Sunday when no one else did. We talked about life, about my dreams, about my quiet side project. 3 years ago, I started an anonymous personal finance blog for women. I taught budgeting, investing, and financial independence. It grew to over 500,000 subscribers. I never told anyone, not even Daniel. I used a pen name, The Quiet Saver. Grandpa Theodore discovered it by accident one afternoon when I left my laptop open at his house. He was deeply proud of me. He told me once, "You understand money better than my own children. They spend it. You grow it." I didn't know what he meant at the time. I had no idea that Grandpa Theodore had been watching, planning, and preparing something that would change my life and expose his family for exactly who they were. The private banker, Mr. Gerald Haynes, had managed Theodore's private trust for 20 years. He was calm, professional, and completely unshakable. He'd watched the Whitmore children ignore their father, visit only on holidays, and fight over money even while Theodore was still alive. He'd also seen me show up every Sunday without fail, asking for nothing. Before Theodore passed, he gave Mr. Haynes specific instructions and a personal letter. Back in the lawyer's office, Victoria tried to shut everything down. "This is clearly elder manipulation. Linda must have brainwashed him." Preston stood up, his face red. "We'll contest this. We'll sue." Meredith hissed across the table. "You've always been a snake, Linda." Daniel finally spoke, but not in my defense. "Linda, maybe we should step outside and let them handle this." I looked at my husband. My heart broke, but I wasn't surprised. I stayed seated. "No, Daniel. I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be." Mr. Haynes opened the sealed envelope. "If everyone is quite finished, Mr. Theodore Whitmore's final wishes are very clear." The room fell silent. Mr. Haynes began to read from Theodore's private will. "To my daughter-in-law, Linda Whitmore, who visited me every Sunday, who listened without wanting anything, and who built her own empire while my own children squandered theirs, I leave the entirety of my private trust." The amount was $4.7 million in diversified investments and a small property in Vermont that Theodore had hidden from the family for decades. Victoria screamed, "This is fraud." Preston slammed his hand on the table. "She manipulated a dying old man." Meredith sat frozen, pale and speechless. Mr. Haynes remained calm. Mr. Whitmore also left a letter to be read aloud. He cleared his throat and read Theodore's words. "To my children, you visited me when you needed money. You called me when you needed signatures. You fought over my estate while I was still breathing. Linda asked for nothing. She gave me her time, her kindness, and her respect. That is worth more than anything I could leave behind. I hope this teaches you what I failed to teach you in life." Victoria collapsed into her chair, humiliated. Preston turned on Daniel. "Your wife just stole our inheritance." Daniel looked at me, torn between his family and the truth. I stood slowly. "I didn't steal anything. I showed up. That's all I ever did." I looked directly at Victoria. "You spent years calling me the poor girl. You excluded me, mocked me, and made me feel like I didn't belong. But the one person whose opinion actually mattered? He saw me. He chose me." I turned to Daniel. "And you? You had 1,000 chances to stand by me. You chose them every single time. I'm done waiting for you to be brave." I removed my wedding ring and placed it on the table. I walked toward the door, then paused. "By the way, that little budgeting hobby you all laughed at? It's a business now. I don't need Theodore's money to survive. But I'll use it to build something that actually matters." I walked out with my head high. I signed the trust documents with Mr. Haynes the following week. I filed for divorce from Daniel. He didn't contest it. He called me once, crying, apologizing, but I had already moved forward. I used part of Theodore's gift to launch a financial literacy nonprofit for single mothers. I revealed my identity as the Quiet Saver, and my community doubled in size overnight. The Vermont property became a retreat center for women rebuilding their lives. Victoria and her children tried to contest the will, but Theodore's documentation was airtight. They lost. The family fractured, fighting among themselves over what little remained. Grandpa Theodore didn't just leave me money. He left me proof that being kind, being patient, and being real is never wasted. Even when no one else sees it, the right person will. I stopped waiting to be chosen by people who never deserved me. I chose myself. If you've ever been mocked for what's in your bank account, or made to feel small because you weren't born into money, I see you. I was you. Subscribe to this channel and share your story in the comments. Tell me about a time someone underestimated your worth. And click like to help this story reach others who've been laughed at but kept going anyway. Your story has power. If you felt a connection to mine, please subscribe and share your journey in the comments. Every like you give this video helps empower someone else who's been told they're not enough. Thank you for being here and for listening. I read every single comment, and I can't wait to hear from you.